riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Apollo to my Rocky, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Garrett, I am embarrassed and my chin hurts quite a bit.
I hope you're embarrassed, and I can see that your chin is, well, frankly, Tim, it is swollen.
It's infected.
It absolutely is. Clearly, you've had it pierced in honor of this week's album. I couldn't have told you more clearly not to do it. Who did this? Who mutilated your face?
I did this, Garrett.
Oh, it's a home piercing, another home job, Tim. I would have thought after the homemade fireworks incident of the weeks prior, you might have outsourced it to a professional.
Well, you know what? I didn't. So here we are. I've got the metal in my face. I've got my chin pierced. Let's move on. I don't think we need to talk about it anymore.
It's going to be hard not to. It's oozing.
It is very infected.
Yeah, let's get you a couple tissues. Gino, tissues for Tim. He's asleep. All right, Tim, we've delayed it long enough. What album are we talking about this week?
We are discussing Disturbed's debut album, The Sickness, released March 7th, 2000. And this was suggested to us by the ever-mysterious MS, Will Galbraith, Sean Delante, Mike McVeigh, Chris Cassani, Super Mario 16-bit, and several other people.
A return guest to the show on a little episode known as Queen of the Damned, Mr. Draymond and his team of fellow Disturbians showed up to help us get down with The Sickness. This week, we focus on the band whole to itself, not just one or two songs on a compilation soundtrack. And Tim, I gotta ask, after taking in this album for an entire week, do you hate it?
Are you joking? Yes, I do.
Tim, we have really broadened our horizons when it comes to garbage. So I thought there was a chance that returning back to this album, you might have what people in the business call fresh eyes. And I think you and I are probably in the business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can say it. So you were using your fresh eyes, and you might have a new barometer for what is and isn't good. And for you, no, it's still not good.
That is correct. What about you?
Oh, I hate this.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a big old pile of shit. It's a shame because it's a little bit easy to hate on this band. America hates on this band.
Well,
the internet.
we'll get into that. I don't know if that's entirely true.
You're right. Plenty of people do love this band. I am curious, is this the first time you have really heard this band, or do you have a history with them?
I have very little history with them. This came out whenever I was in high school, and it was all over the alternative rock radio. So I've heard a few of these songs. You know, I vaguely remember Down with the Sickness from our excellent Queen of the Damned episode, as you already mentioned, and their garbage cover of Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence. But that's about it. But is this the first time you have gotten Down with the Sickness, Garrett?
It is indeed, Tim. Aside from our excellent Queen of the Damned episode, and the Sound of Silence, of course, it is hard for me to not derail this entire episode to talk about that, but I'm going to hold back in the interest of future episodes. Aside from those two instances, this was all new to me, and it was... Tim, I didn't enjoy this.
No, you shouldn't have. All those people that I listed off, they're monsters, and we may stop taking requests from them because they really screwed us on this one.
I'm trying to not go way out of order here, but I just hate it. I hate it, and I'm not sure that I thought that I definitely hated the lead singer going into this week, but I've done a lot of research, and I might not hate this guy.
I think I do.
Piercings and all.
Yeah, I know.
I
he got my chin infected.
But you got your chin infected.
Yeah, but he had something to do with it.
I mean, dirty tools and or metal and or instruments and or a lack of understanding of how to pierce one's own chin, which probably there is no understanding. Don't is probably the understanding there. That's probably all pretty responsible, but not him.
Yeah.
Tim, before we get into any more detail, we need a little bit of history, a little bit of background. Take us on a short journey through the history of this band. Where did Disturbed come from, and how did they come to release The Sickness?
This band was formed in 1994 in Chicago from a previous band which was called either Crawl or Brawl, depending on which source you use. And that was guitarist Dan Donegan, bassist Steve Kamak, and drummer Mike Wengren. And then they had a vocalist named Eric Awalt, but Awalt was gone pretty soon into their tenure, and the other guys put out an ad, and luckily Dave Draiman answered the call. And I'll get into his history in just a second. The guitarist said of that first meeting, after a minute or two, he just starts banging out these melodies that were huge. I'm playing my guitar and I'm grinning ear to ear, trying not to give it away that I like this guy. So it seems like they were disturbed right then and there.
Yeah.
Dave Draiman was born in Brooklyn, raised by very observant Jews. He went to Jewish schools. He spent a lot of time in Israel, eventually matriculating to the Wisconsin Institute for Torah Study, which I believe is a high school. Mm-hmm. He kind of got a little rebellious there, setting fire to a rabbi's van, hurling somebody from a second-floor window during a weightlifting altercation, and also, Garrett, worst of all, owning a GQ magazine. I don't know why that one was thrown in.
Sinful pictures, too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Those gentlemen in their well-sculpted abs. Impure thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm sure you do.
His father was arrested for embezzlement and sent to prison. His father would also later unsuccessfully run for mayor of Los Angeles.
Repeatedly, most recently losing Tim by only gaining 0.91% of 1% of the vote.
Oh, they do not want a disturbed mayor.
Yeah.
Dave would eventually graduate from a Jewish school in Chicago, and then his girlfriend died of a heroin overdose, and he attempted to also overdose, but he did not.
On heroin?
Yeah, he was hanging out under a bridge, tried to overdose, just ended up getting kinda cold because he was in Chicago.
What's the deal with heroin and bridges?
A lot of times you've spent all of your non-bridge money on heroin, so the bridge is all you got left.
Can't you go to like a Sonic?
I mean, sure, but they eventually ask you to leave. There's nobody guarding that bridge, Garrett.
That's true. I feel like there's still more like eaves and overhangs that one could dwell in.
Well, a bridge is just a giant overhang.
I guess, but it's also smog covered and concrete filled. Maybe just under a nice thick tree.
Like maybe like a playground, you could hang out under a slide.
Well, I mean, at night, sure, but not during the day. That's not okay.
Dave then went to one of these yeshivas near Jerusalem. Then he went to Loyola University in Chicago. He wanted to go to law school, but instead he worked as an administrator at a healthcare facility following family tradition.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He officially joined the band in 1996. He was the one that suggested the band's name be changed to Disturbed, and he said about that, "It has been a name I had been contemplating as a band for years. The level of conformity that people are forced into was disturbing to us, and we were just trying to push the envelope, and the name just sort of made sense."
Okay.
They recorded demos and toured around the local area before signing with Giant Records and releasing the album of the week, The Sickness, in 2000, and they were pretty immediately popular. They joined Marilyn Manson's 2001 tour in Europe, but they had to get a new bassist for that tour. Kamak fell off a fire escape in Chicago because the elevators were being used to move their equipment, and he didn't want to wait for them because he was and still is an impatient cunt. Their second album, called Believe, was released in 2002. It peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and then they released a music video and single for the song Prayer. MTV refused to play this song because the music video, and I'm quoting here, was perceived to have too many similarities with the 9/11 attacks. That sounds absurd, right? How can a video have too many similarities with the 9/11 attacks? I thought it was silly. Did a bit more research. That single actually destroyed a portion of Midtown Manhattan and killed 2,996 people. No. So it's a fair comparison.
No, that is not true fact.
It's a fact. It can't not be true.
That is dangerous speech, sir. Never forget.
Yeah, never forget. Prayer killed a bunch of people.
Oh, God damn it.
According to frontman David Draiman, the lyrics he writes are inspired by actual experience of his own, and he said that he likes to present his ideas with cryptic lyrics. The themes range from the Judeo-Christian concept of heaven and hell, domestic abuse, suicide, insanity, relationships, war, vampirism, werewolves, and demons. All of those were inspired by actual experiences of his own, according to Dave.
Okay, yep.
Checks out.
Tim, I think there might be werewolves in the Bible. I know I haven't read all of it, but I think I heard that if you read closely, there is mention of a wolfed man.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, no vampires. Doesn't it seem like it would fit, though? Some sort of bloodsuckers. There's demons, there's lakes of fire, some guys turning water into wine and shedding blood into a cup or whatever.
I may be getting this from a Russell Crowe movie, but I believe there's rock monsters at some point.
No, Tim, that is in fact a Russell Crowe movie.
But based on the Bible.
Unclear.
Maybe rock monsters. We don't know.
Somebody reread the Noah chapters.
Or just reread the Bible. It might not be in that chapter. Just the whole thing. If there's rock monsters, let us know.
Yeah, no, I'd like to know that.
Also in 2002, the song Down with the Sickness was included on the Queen of the Damned soundtrack. They toured with Ozfest, and then they have their own tour called Music as a Weapon. Kmack was fired during that tour for personality differences. Their next album, 10,000 Fists, was released in 2005, and then...
What should we call it? Fist? No. 1,000 fists? No. 10,000 fists.
Their 2006 European tour had to be rescheduled due to Dave's acid reflux.
He seems like a gassy man.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he has Danny DeVito's physique, but on the stature of a full-grown man.
Yes.
And it's not good. He looks like he's wearing the pads that referees wear behind the catcher.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like the
he does.
new ones where the shirt goes over it. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of extra ill-fitting meat in front of his body, but it's also his body.
He's the physical embodiment of talking through a burp.
He's singing through a burp, Tim.
The band recorded a song called This Moment for that first Transformers movie, which, again, you have heard because you love Michael Bay and Sam Witwicky.
Witwicky. I need to see you make intercourse with Megan Fox. Why do you have to watch, Optimus? I need to understand mating rituals of humans to save the world and get the Tesseract.
God, you love these movies.
I think that might be Marvel. It's unclear. It might be both.
2008, they released Indestructible. In 2009, they reissued their first album and released their next album, Asylum, and that hit #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. And then in 2011, Dave marries WWE diva, professional wrestler, and tandem surfer, Lena Yada. I don't know who that is.
She's one of the top-ranked tandem female surfers in the world, Tim. That's who that is.
Oh, I apologize, Lena. Miss Yada.
She's also was a former WWE valet, which was interesting. I wasn't sure what the fuck that meant. And it basically just means manager. I don't know if you ever saw The Undertaker, Tim, but he had the pallbearer. His name might have been Paul Bearer. Anyway, she was that for the ladies.
But she also wrestled.
Yes, she was also a female wrestler and commentator and synchronized surfer.
Tandem.
Which is definitely what tandem surfing is, right?
I think so.
Or is it two people on one board?
I think it's two people on two boards, but they're holding hands so that they stay together.
That's definitely not it.
Disturbed took a short hiatus to be in side projects from 2012 to 2015, but then they came roaring back with Immortalized, which hit #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. Then they released that Sound of Silence cover that Garrett loves so much. And then they did Live at Red Rocks and what was described to me as a virtual reality experience of the Sound of Silence cover. So that should be definitely what we do whenever we hit that per episode. Gonna have to buy some VR stuff.
I've got some.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy some.
Well, you can use the studios, Tim. You just have to sign it out.
You're a very vain man.
What's your point?
There's no makeup on those VR glasses.
Wait, what are you saying? You're saying I'm wearing makeup?
Concealer, yes.
That is a bold-faced lie.
It's tasteful. I'll give you that.
That is a bold-faced lie. To what end, Tim? I have to remind you again. Strictly auditory program.
This isn't for the program. This is for your life. I do things for the show. You do things because you're very, very vain.
Listen, I'm not here to argue if I am or am not vain. That is not an issue. What I take issue with, where I want to focus the point of this, is that I am not, now or ever, walking around in reality wearing makeup in an effort to improve my physical appearance.
Untrue. I found
this is
the makeup
an attack on my character.
We live in very close quarters.
Right.
I spend a lot of time when you're asleep studying that face. There's makeup on that face.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. You have to Stop touching.
I'm going to be 100% honest, Garrett. I practice putting makeup on you.
Okay.
I want to be good for whenever I put it on me for our show.
Right. Okay. This is all adding up.
In 2018, they released their most recent album, Evolution. Also in 2018, Dave made the disappointing decision to remove his chin piercings, a move I wish I had known before I, pierced my chin. He said it felt weird walking around like a 45-year-old Hot Topic. I mean, bad news, friend. That is exactly what he is. And it's also bullshit, Garrett, because you don't get to walk around having the world's dumbest look for 20 years and then just walk away. You own that nonsense. He's the chin piercing guy. This isn't something he did as a kid and now regrets. He thought that looked good at least 44.
How did he eat things?
They're like extra teeth, you see. It's like a walrus.
No,
that's what I've been using them for, which might
just imagine
explain
all the pieces like slipping out through his chin holes.
I assume he putties them up.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you think he got those things sealed up?
Well, I assume you tear off a piece of like a wine cork and jam it in there. That's what I'm going to do.
God, Jesus, we have to get you to the doctor. You have insurance?
I mean, does the show give me insurance?
Not anymore, because you guess who stopped paying our insurance?
Oh.
Where are the checks, Tim? That's our first shirt. Where are the checks, Tim?
Dave has also been really outspoken about politics. He also described himself as a very strong supporter of Israel forever and for our people. He then went on to describe Roger Waters and other activists who were boycotting Israel as Nazi comrades. So you heard it here first, folks. Roger Waters, alleged Nazi. We're not saying it.
Yeah, we're not saying it.
But Dave is saying it. He believes that Roger Waters is a Nazi comrade. That is in quotes.
Right. Is there anything else about this band we need to know?
No.
Thank God. All right, Tim, let's get into general thoughts. Musically, it is more metal than I expected, and when it veers away from metal, the sound that it has is not what I expected.
That's accurate, yeah.
It is an amalgamation of traditional metal guitar with sort of that new metal guitar for a good portion of it. And then you get your record scratches, of course, but there's more synth than I expected at times.
Yeah, there's a lot of like computer effects in this thing. And I did not expect any.
No, there's some driving bass beats at times that are clearly not drums, but are a bass machine.
It seems like they're going for brief moments like a Rage Against the Machine where the guitar's just doing noises, but it does not work.
What stood out to me is, and we're just talking about the music, how incredibly homogenous the entire album is. I don't recognize a difference between any of the songs aside from their brief openings.
Yes, agreed. I think their drummer is a good drummer, and it sometimes comes out on this album.
I think they can probably play guitar just fine, and at moments it sounds like some of my favorite guitar solos. See Metallica. I got some real Master of Puppets at times, Ride the Lightning.
I disagree.
Wow.
Several moments of this that sounded like that very generic James Hetfield guitar from Saint Anger.
Oh, sure. It's a lesser Metallica. It's Diet Metallica. Now let's talk about the words.
Okay.
Oof.
Before we talk about the words, let's talk about the noises.
Oh, okay, good point. Because we're going to talk about the vocals.
Yeah.
Let's encompass that. Oh, man, Tim.
He Zedlers, he J-Devils, and then he K-Way/Nicki Minaj's.
Yep. And then occasionally he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of h's, there's a lot of ras, and there's a lot of monkey noises and wah.
There's a lot of screaming.
He screams, he raps, he sings, he makes noises. I couldn't rank those. Which one is more off-putting?
Number one, the screaming.
Okay.
You get rid of the screaming, I am way closer to not hating this. Way closer. Next, for me, is the rapping. Cannot stand it. So now, what do we got left? His singing, and there was a fourth thing.
The noises.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must start over.
See, this is what I'm saying.
I got it now. Well, I keep forgetting them. So I got the noises. The noises are number one. Got to get rid of those noises. Number two is what my number one was, which I now forget.
Screaming.
The screaming. Right. So we got the noises at number one, then the screaming. We're halfway home. Now we got the singing still, right? He's going to sing, and that's not great, but I can deal with that. And then the fourth one was what now?
Rapping.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're going to need to get at least three of those off the table. You got the noises, you got the rapping.
It's hard, right? Get Dave out of this band and go back to that first guy. Let's get AWOLT back in there. See what he's bringing to the table. It can't be worse. Lyrically, they are absolutely in love with this faux darkness. They're doing this like Slipknot, Korn, Evanescence mixture. What the hell was America thinking in the early 2000s?
It was like our entire nation went through a goth phase.
This is music that's made by people that really, really, really wanted to be popular in high school. And so now they're way overcompensating.
I read several interviews with David Draymond. He now in his older years is just like, yeah, that was a scared boy. I was incredibly insecure and terrified.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That interview had to have happened after he took out those chin piercings, because
oh yes,
if you've still got those in, you are still that person.
You're probably also completely unintelligible.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've heard him sing and scream and rap, and what was the fourth thing?
The noises.
Ah, yes.
The singing is, oddly enough, the most palatable of those.
It is, but I want to make clear, it is bad.
Oh, quite.
Real bad. Let's talk about the cover. What is happening in the cover photo?
How have we made it this long without talking about this cover? Okay, if you haven't seen it, folks, go out, take a quick look, and don't let your eyes deceive you. It is exactly what it looks like.
I'm not sure it is.
I have my initial interpretation, and I stick to it.
Well, so I do too, but I have other possibilities.
Lay it on us, Tim. What was your theory? What have you always thought it was?
For the past week, I have thought that this is an adult Dave Draymond being born. Some sort of horrible grown man fetus birth. Mm-hmm. That was my first thought. But if it is David being born as an adult man baby, I'm concerned that those chin piercings are going to get caught on that vagina on the way out. I don't know if you've ever snagged your vagina on someone's chin piercings. That really smart, Scarrett.
I have not snagged my vagina on any chin piercing. I don't have a vagina.
Oh.
And if I did, your chin would be nowhere near.
Well, my point is, if this is Dave being born, he's got those chin piercings in, and those are going to get caught on the way out.
I do not think that they are biological. I think he added those later. You're not born.
Well, sure, but he's also a grown man in this. He has climbed into a vagina and he is getting pushed out.
Oh my God.
Well, this is a horrible cover.
It's true. You're not far off from what the band intended the cover to be. I don't know if you had any other theories about it. I don't want to spoil it yet if you do.
My other theories was that one, it was some sort of restraint. That is actually not my theory. That is something that I read online as somebody hypothesizing, because it is a contentious debate as to what this is. The other theory is, and this is I think the best possible scenario, if he was in some sort of Looney Tunes cartoon and somebody like bonked him on the head with a big hammer and drove his head into his own chest cavity, and then his head's kind of poking out cartoonishly.
I'm glad that you're saying that's the most likely, because now you are playing very close to what my theory has always and continues to be. I had seen the cover of this album, and my interpretation of it was that this was some sort of turtle man. And that he has tucked his head and because a lot of this album is about how scared he is.
Yes.
And so he's tucked his head in, but he's creeping out, Tim. He's coming out of his weird gray turtle man body.
He does have the body shape of a turtle.
He's got all that extra padding. It is not in a traditional human form.
It's not in a traditional distribution.
Right.
What does the band say about it?
The band says that it is, in fact, a birth, Tim. It is the birth of a monster played by David Draymond. So you weren't that far off, although it was not an adult-grown human David Draymond. It was a monster, a fictitious monster, which is probably why they were able to put a fictitious monster vagina on the cover of an album.
Oh, it's a monster vagina. And that can handle chin piercings being drugged through it.
It can handle spikes, horns. Monsters can have any number of various adaptations. I mean, a human vagina is a marvel of nature with its strength and elasticity. You can only imagine what a hulking monster vagina could be. Like, take your average Shrek, right? Mm-hmm. You think about Shrek relative to the size of a person. Lady Shrek would have a fiercely elastic and strong vagina.
That sounds accurate.
I'm guessing. I don't know, but that's what's on the cover of this album, is a man being born out of a monster vagina, which might be my favorite part of all of this, now that I've said it out loud.
So it's a monster man and a monster vagina.
Well, it's not a monster man coming out of a human vagina. What human vagina looks like that? It looks more like a cloaca.
Okay.
Ready for these songs?
Absolutely.
Track number 1, Voices. the fade in is weird, right?
Yes, it's another one of these songs where I turn it up really, really loud, and then I get yelling and all sorts of nonsense.
It's definitely something of a time. There was this weird fad where they would just, what if we just fade in the music? What are you talking about? Start the song.
I want to talk about the way this was introduced in concert.
Okay.
Dave would get wheeled on stage in like a Hannibal Lecter getup, like a straitjacket and a Hannibal mask, which is pretty cool, and also not something you do if you're confident in your music.
I really don't want that much theatrics, with the exception of, say, a Flaming Lips show or a Polyphonic Spree where there's a bit of spectacle to it. I don't need to know how badass you are when you come out in a straitjacket and a Hannibal Lecter mask. No masks. No masks across the board. If you're wearing a mask, I don't want your music.
Right.
Taste the crow. I will add a small mask exception. If you are a drummer or a non-singing member of the band and you inexplicably are wearing a mask for no reason, I don't care. That's fine.
I feel like you're trying to excuse that Ty Segall baby mask, and I won't stand for it. That thing is creepy.
That is what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Stop it.
It's terrifying. But yeah, that's exactly what I was doing.
I know. This is where the noises start.
Yep, hit it.
So what?
Yeah, so it's not so, it's so what?
And it's every time he says so.
Which is a lot.
And it's not great.
I have tried earnestly to understand what these songs are about, and I struggled hard, Tim. I'm very curious to see what your interpretation of this is, because I got some ideas, but I'm going to tell you, for the first time in maybe 60 weeks-ish, I'm not sure that I understood this album.
I think, for the most part, he's trying to encourage a school shooter.
In this song, that is most likely what's happening.
I think in like 7 of them.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's start with some lyrics. He says, "What's up? I wonder why do you listen to me? I'm gonna make you do some freaky shit now. Insane. You're gonna die when you listen to me. Let the living die. Let the living die." Right. Who is saying this and to whom?
I think it is the voice in the head of somebody who's about to shoot up a school.
It doesn't have to be a school, Tim.
Well, no. He could be shooting up lots of places.
Sure.
You shouldn't, but it is
God,
possible
no.
because of lack of political motivation, lack of will.
Cowards, Tim. Say it. I want to make clear, we are in no way encouraging it.
No, but Disturbed is, allegedly.
This song certainly is. At first, I was leaning towards Cult Leader, kind of setting up some sort of Operation Mayhem.
Sure.
But I tend to agree with you after multiple listens this week. It's probably an inner voice. And now you've alluded to what the inner voice is telling him to do. He says, "Can you imagine how good going through this will make you feel? I promise no one will ever know. There will be no chance of you getting caught. They never loved you anyway. So come on, be a man and do what you are compelled to do." Look, you and I say some wildly irresponsible things on this show. We know that. Our lawyers certainly make us aware of that. This seems wildly irresponsible. And I'm not saying music makes people do anything, but with songs that overtly challenge the listener to do what they're compelled to do.
At least throw an allegedly in there, for the love of God.
Yeah, I know. You've got to protect yourself legally. I'm not sure how this got past the censors.
Well, I'll tell you how it got past the censors, because that part is whispered very low in the mix. It's hard to hear.
Well, you know who will hear it? Troubled teens.
And that's true. It's a poor choice to make on your first ever song, and I was originally going to say that this sentiment has aged very poorly into 2019, but this album came out less than a year after Columbine, so I can't imagine that this would have come off any better at the time.
Knowing that they didn't mean it at all, and it's all just a charade, is it massacre porn? Is that what it would be? Like it's roleplay? Massacre roleplay?
Violence porn?
He seems to be reaching out to stop. He says, "I can hear the voice, but I don't want to listen. Strap me down and tell me I'll be all right." I think he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to give in to that internal desire.
Right, but then the next line is, "I can feel the subliminal need to be one with the voice and make everything all right."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's given in. It's a dark song.
We are assuming mass shooting. It seems very likely, could very well be what's happening, but we have yet to really hear what this voice is commanding our main character to do, and we have 11 more tracks potentially to expose that. Could be mass shooting. Could be something else. Could be something different. Could be something worse.
Well, a lot of these songs get pretty rapey.
They do.
Track number 2, The Game.
was not expecting it to be so dancey. It opens with a very dance beat electronic sound.
But that quickly goes away.
Sure. And then it just blends right back into what every one of these songs eventually devolves into.
What game are they playing? I like to think checkers.
No, I think this is a much more complicated game. Might be the game of life. Not to be confused with the Milton Bradley game of life. This is the actual literal game of life and death.
Dave said this song is about the manipulative nature of most people, that you should be cautious when playing with another person's emotions or somebody make you accountable at some point in time.
Okay, I can kind of see that.
It kind of has this persecution complex thing that's going to play out through the rest of the album. He says, "Tell me exactly what I am supposed to do. Now that I have allowed you to beat me, do you think we could play another game? Maybe I can win this time. I like the misery you put me through. If you even try to look the other way, I think that I could kill this time."
Okay, you gotta stop right there.
I think he's playing checkers. However, he's very mad that he's losing, and he's going to murder you as soon as you look away.
Jesus Christ, you take checkers very seriously.
I don't. Dave does.
Okay, alternate reading of the lyrics. "Darling, you can trust me completely. Even if you try to look the other way, I think that I could kill this time." I think that we could have two people potentially who are serial killers, habitual killers, if you will, and they have joined forces and they're going out together on kills. I think that he's upset. Perhaps they were competing to see whom could kill first, something like that, or who could get to the target first, perhaps, and he lost the first round, but he's saying, "I'm ready for another round. Let's see, maybe I can win this time." I don't know quite what he means by even if you try to look the other way, I think that I could kill this time.
Not sure.
You can trust me completely even if you try to look the other way. It does seem like they're hunting people, though.
But it also seems like he's in an argument with a loved one, because throughout the rest of the song, he's got, "Will she run for her life now that she lied to me? The little bitch, she went and told a lie. Never fucking lie to me." It seems like he's in a relationship with this person.
Okay, here it is. Now this makes more sense. They are not competing to hunt down a person. She has found herself in a surprise Hunger Games.
Ooh.
They are hunting each other.
I like it.
That is where you throw an axe or a sword or even small knives at another person and you scream, "Surprise Hunger Games, bitch!" And then you give them 90 seconds to hide.
But you've already thrown that axe.
Well, no, you're giving them a weapon. You got to make it fair, Tim.
Typically, whenever I throw a axe towards somebody, that person is axed.
Right. No, that's just murder. Yeah, I'm talking about a surprise Hunger Games. I think they are hunting each other, and she's maybe saying, like, even if you try to look the other way, and she's trying to say, like, no, like, I won't do this, and she tries to be the bigger person, he's like, "Pretty sure I can kill you anyway." That makes more sense, and that's why he's saying, is she not right? Is she insane? Will she now run for her life in the battle that ends this day? Oh, this is totally a surprise Hunger Games.
Okay.
I don't know how I didn't see it before.
Could be. There is definitely a little serial killer or, again, maybe school shooter aspect to it. Because he says, "You always wanted people to remember you, to leave your little mark on society. Don't you know your wish is coming true today? Another victim dies tonight." So the last part makes it seem serial killery. The first three lines of that, though, really sound like school shooter talk.
Okay, I think this is clear as a bell to me now. Yes, that is serial killer talk all the way when he wraps it up saying another victim dies tonight. So this is not his first kill. Obviously, he feels, and you've mentioned this up top, he feels persecuted by this person. And I'm thinking it's a series of people. And he, takes some very casual or inconsequential interaction as a personal slight. You get added to the list, and then based on priority or budget or time, you then hunt that person in a surprise Hunger Games. And that's just how he legitimizes his need to kill. Obviously, that's what that voice has been asking him to do. And so to him, this girl has lied, right? He says, "You're a liar. You've lied to me. You've lied to somebody. You wanted people to remember you. And so now everyone's going to remember you as my 34th victim."
That's not what you want.
Look at Natalie Holloway.
No,
7 years later.
Jesus.
What? No, I'm just saying, Tim, 7 years later, you still know exactly who I'm talking about.
Right.
Most people on this podcast would have no idea who Jordan Vandersloot is.
Right.
They remember Natalie Holloway.
That's because 5 years later to the day he killed again.
He sure goddamn did. And now he's in a Peruvian prison. We've gotten off the rails a bit. That's okay.
To bring us back around here...
Oh, yeah. How is this a common theme in our show?
I don't know, but he blends so many people's stupid vocal tics really well here.
None of it's singing. You got your rah-rahs, as you mentioned, which we saw from Nicki Minaj, Kanye West.
Dragon scatting, absolutely. And then, Tim, speaking of scatting, what would you say if I told you, bumbity lum bum ba Linda, bumbity lum bum ba limbu? I kept trying to figure out if those were lyrics that I was mishearing.
It is bumbity lum bum ba Linda, bumbity lum ba limbu. These are nonsense words. Phlegm scatting in its finest. And again, folks, I apologize. I can't even approach an impersonation. It is just too hard. So I guess I'm complimenting him on creating a noise that I hate.
No, you're complimenting him on making a noise that you can't do.
I'm going to learn how to do this.
Please don't.
After declaring that he's going to hunt this woman, she's begging for her life. He gets furious, saying, is she really telling lies again? Doesn't she realize she's in danger? She's probably promising the world to him. The persecution, Tim, the focus on being wronged by women, we are skating around an ice rink that is dangerously thin, and we could fall into incel pond.
Oh, I think we do in the next song.
Oh, dear. Track number 3, Stupefied.
So we get a spoken word intro to this song. He says, yeah, bringing you another disturbing creation from the mind of one sick animal who can't tell the difference and gets stupefied, which means nothing.
It sounded like heavy metal Sugar Ray to me.
Oh yeah, it does. This song, I think he definitely goes full incel. It's the, I've been waiting my whole life for just one fuck, and all I needed was just one fuck. How can you say that you don't give a fuck? Yeah, he just wants one tiny little fuck, Garrett, and no one's giving it to him. That brings up the question, is sex with Dave all it would take to stop this nonsense? Because, Garrett, I don't want to have sex with Dave, but I'm just saying we could end this nonsense. We could rid the world of Disturbed.
No, you're misreading this. This is a previous incarnation. He has since made intercourse and has offspring, so we know for a fact that it does not stop the Disturbed.
Oh, right. Well, God damn it.
Well, Tim, at first I was right there with you. Everything you read, he seems to be begging for just one fuck, his words, and then he says, and just when I feel like I'm shit out of luck, I find myself stupefied, coming back again. And he says, see, but I don't get it. Don't you think maybe I could put it on credit? Don't you think it could take control when I don't let it? I get stupefied. I think stupefied might be a euphemism for horny / a manic episode induced by horniness.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it.
And the credit part kind of got me curious. I think that he could be talking to a local prostitute or whore.
It must be his first time, because you cannot get a prostitute on credit.
Well, I suspect, him that this is a compulsion, and it could be the gentleman we saw in the last song who was hunting that poor woman. He was so sexually frustrated that he couldn't take it any longer, and he turned into a manic animal that hunted her down. He could be trying to ease the beast. He recognizes he has a problem. When he finds himself getting stupefied, he returns back to the prostitute. But you do that over and over, Tim. You know, nobody's going to pay you to hunt ladies, so between the hunting ladies and the prostitution, when's this guy working? He's probably just trying to put this one fuck he needs on credit. It's more complex than it originally seems on the surface.
I don't think it is, but okay.
He says, why do you not like playing around with my narrow scope of reality? So his narrow scope of reality is wiener?
I can't imagine that. That's a bulky nickname for your wiener.
What do you say I get out the old narrow scope? Well, you probably don't want to call it the narrow scope of reality.
You want something that is somewhat complimentary, but also is not an outright lie. That's important.
Yeah, you don't want to be boastful.
Right. He does get a little date rapey later in the song, in the bridge, and don't deny me, no baby, don't deny me, and darling, don't be afraid. That's not what you want in your song.
Well, this is where things start to take a turn. I've made reference to him getting stupefied, and this need of the fuck is what turns him stupefied. Would you agree?
Yes.
When he becomes stupefied, Tim, we might be dealing with a classic becoming here. I don't want to confuse any of the listeners at home and some of the viewers, and we do or do not know whether or not there are viewers. A classic becoming is a transformation usually induced by a mental patient where they believe that through a series of action ceremonies or incantations, they transform physically into a larger, more powerful being, demon, god, beast, what have you.
Just remind me here, it can only be cured by eating a William Blake painting, am I correct?
No, Tim. In fact, that can only exacerbate a becoming. The eating of the painting is typically to capture the strength of a Blake painting and use it to fuel your transformation.
Oh, I have been doing Blake all wrong.
Right. You have been basically building up your beast mode mode. So, Tim, we could see a classic becoming here because he says, look in my face, stare in my soul, I begin to stupefy. Look in my face, stare in my soul. That's becoming language if I ever heard it.
And then we get a little Spanish and Hebrew.
Okay, I thought that might be Spanish and Hebrew.
All the people in the high-rise rock, all the people in the projects rock, all gente in the barrio rock. And then he says tefashid, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, which is Hebrew for be afraid. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm terrified. I'm gonna rip out those chin piercings.
Oh, Garrett. As a person who may or may not currently have chin piercings, they need to be gingerly removed by a medical professional who then has a lot of disinfectant on hand.
You're gonna need a tetanus shot.
Yes, I am. Can I tell you what this song is actually about, according to Dave?
Sure.
This song is against racism and discrimination. This song is about a relationship Dave had with a Latina girl. He said her family didn't approve of him because of his different ethnicity. Another reference contradicted this. Dave also said, lyrically, it's a song against racism, written with a past relationship in mind where I was forced to break up with a woman I loved because we are of different ethnicities and his parents wouldn't have allowed it. So it's unclear whether Jews or Latinos are racist, but one of them definitely is.
Just to be safe, let's say both.
Yeah, that's probably wise. There is nothing in this song that points to that in any way.
No, not at all. This is about a guy that gets crazy, hunts women, kills them out in the woods unless he gets his fuck.
Yes.
Track number 4, Down with the Sickness.
Does he do a Buffalo Bill voice in the intro?
Kind of. It's not as mucusy. He sounds like one of these male witches. Like he's trying...
What do you mean one of these male witches? Like I know what that is, Garrett. I will have you know that witches are on the cowboy list. We are feuding with them, frankly.
I'm troubled that you recognize that there's witches, but much like everything else in this album, it's just way over the top, way over dramatic. If anyone has ever seen the Jennifer Lopez, Vincent D'Onofrio movie, The Cell, he is D'Onofrio.
God, yes.
Like I keep picturing him in large, like Victorian era robes and such, and it's not the dumbest part of this song.
No, the dumbest part of this song comes right after the "Can you feel that? Oh shit! Oh."
Still not much better than the last time we did this song.
As mentioned in the Queen of the Damned episode, the signature noise of this song, and maybe of this band, was inspired by a trip to the Chicago Zoo. Stop letting monkeys write lyrics for you, you stupid assholes.
Wait, is that true? I thought we just imagined that.
No.
It sounds like a combination of a monkey and a puma.
Well,
I do hear sort of like... Boy, I was also likening it to like old Looney Tunes cartoons, like every 20th would be a Tasmanian Devil one. I guess they had the show too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but like his style of doing the grunting and the shouting is almost Tasmanian Deviling, if I may. That shouldn't be your vocal warm-up.
I think that started out as just kind of a throwaway bit, and then it just became inexplicably popular, and now they're just the ooh-ah-ah-ah guys.
Oh, sure.
And
I'm sure that haunts him. And
yeah.
Good, as it should.
I think also in the Queen of the Damned episode, we, and by we I mean you, came to the conclusion that this song was being sung from the perspective of the sickness, and...
I stand by that.
You believe... Yeah, because you believe that emotions and feelings are sentient beings that live inside a person like some sort of inside out scenario.
That's what you kept claiming. But no, Tim, clearly in the last song we heard the transformation, the becoming, the sickness. The sickness lives inside him, Tim. It is begging him, compelling him to do those dark, dirty things.
Shoot up
and
a school.
He is now transformed into the sickness. He says, drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant I kneel. Will you give in to me? He is pledging his allegiance to the sickness.
Oh, absolutely. He has decided he's going to do the bad thing.
Sure, and it's more of an Eddie Brock Venom situation than I probably articulated in the Queen of the Damned episode. So
I don't think that movie was out at that point.
Sure, but that is not my only source of knowledge regarding Venom and Eddie Brock. We all saw Spider-Man 3. God Damn that movie. I rewatched some of that the other day on a whim. It is mind-blowing.
Oh, first episode of Why I Hate This Movie.
Folks, write in. Get a back catalog going. Could there be a spin-off podcast? We shouldn't even talk about it, Tim. How dare you?
A couple of questions here. What the hell does Down with the Sickness mean?
Sorry. In the early aughts, Tim, friends and associates would ask if the other was down with something, and that was to be okay with or cool with. So he is now down with the sickness. He is friends with his mental illness, and he will now let it consume him.
Okay, makes total sense. Whenever he says madness is the gift that has been given to me, what does that mean?
Yes. Well, I mean, if you're delusional, oftentimes you don't see what you're doing as destructive, but rather insights given only to you by an omniscient creature.
So like religion. We love our religious audience, and we have, at our last census, I think we have 78% religious audience.
I cannot believe those numbers.
Kevin himself did this one.
Oh, then I definitely can't believe those numbers. How is that, dear boy?
He stays in the closet most of the time. I think he misses Brad.
We all miss Brad, but as soon as we get word back on whether or not he has been found in the South China Sea, folks, we will let you know. Brad, stay strong. I can see inside you. The sickness is rising. Don't try to deny what you feel. Will you give in to me?
Yes.
Gross. Tim, does the sickness just want to get laid too?
I think so. He wants to bang ladies or prostitutes or somebody. In the sickness, Garrett, the sickness wants to bang him.
No.
Emotionally or perhaps.
Mentally?
Yeah, because the sickness is not compelling him to ask other people, will you give in to me? The sickness is directly asking him, will you give in to me?
Oh, I assumed it was more of a Malkovich situation in which the sickness is now controlling the meat body of the man.
Yeah, these songs
So
are really deep and complicated.
I know. Maybe, Tim, not to muddy the waters, try this on for size. It seems you're having some trouble in dealing with these changes, living with these changes. Oh no, the world is a scary place now that you've woken up the demon in me.
God.
What if the sickness is puberty?
Oh.
Trying to deal with these changes, strange feelings, new hair,
Interesting.
old hair? I, like 4% of the American population, was born with almighty.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, how horrifying.
You were a hairy boy, though.
Oh, for sure. The hairiest.
But
not-
you've got
not
much
like
less
that.
hair now, which is suspicious.
Not the point of the show, Tim. The point is that after all of this talk of either the sickness or the man being consumed by the sickness and laying down some sweet game to try to get laid or possibly, I don't know, eat a person, things take an unpleasant turn in which all singing halts, which should be a good thing, but instead talking starts.
Well, no, not talking, Garrett. Screaming. This is screamed word.
Doesn't it start meek?
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
It begins in a meek, childlike voice, clearly done by a man, saying, "No, mommy, don't do it again. Don't do it again. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good boy. I promise. No, mommy, don't hit me." And then it escalates, and then he begins screaming, "Why don't you fucking die?"
Well, see, this is the sort of thing that develops a beast within a boy that will later come out, and eventually the sickness will take over.
Right, but this is fictitious. He says this never happened.
No, of course not.
It's a metaphor for the helicopter parenting of society, the rules, the conformity. These guys do not like the man or squares.
That's true. Is it possible that the mommy referenced in this song isn't his actual mother?
Or I think it's guaranteed, but I don't know whose mommy it is.
Maybe it's nobody's actual mommy, Garrett. Maybe he refers to somebody as mommy. Whenever we did this song the first time, we were not as steeped in the daddy play culture, and I am concerned now that I read this.
This adds up. This adds up. Tim, we know who mommy is. Mommy's that prostitute.
This is third-hand information. I want to make that very clear. Prostitutes do not like it when you call them mommy. There's a lot of things that prostitutes will do. There are only two things they won't do. Kissing stuff, like Garrett, and calling them mommy. They will not respond.
That sounds wrong. I bet there's a whole bunch of other stuff prostitutes won't do.
Nothing. If you have enough money, you can get a prostitute to do anything you want, except for kissing stuff and letting you call them mommy.
And
listeners,
so what do you call what do you call a prostitute? What is the correct way to address a whore?
Well, I mean,
is it whore?
Again, from my experience,
right?
And I'm only
keep saying that.
I'm only able to say this from the saloon in an old western town. We call them ma'am.
Oh my God. I feel like I just got a weird window into those cowboy meetings you've been attending. Do you go and attend some sort of recreation, some sort of Westworld-like ghost town, repopulated with people in which everybody plays a traditional Western role? Is that what you're doing there?
A lot of times we're just renting like high school gyms for the evening. It's not, you say like Westworld, it's not really that advanced. These are local chapters, Garrett. Of course, the national one I haven't been yet, but the national one I've heard is very nice. It's a ballroom at an airport, Radisson in Milwaukee.
Ooh.
It's very nice.
At least, are you able to get it in the spring months at least?
I'm not sure. Again, I've never been.
Oh, that's fair.
You have to have the full hat to be invited.
I was thinking there might be some sort of cowboy village that once you reach some sort of level of cowboyhood that you would then live there permanently.
Oh, there could be. I mean, there's a lot of land out west. I can't imagine that there's no cowboy villages out there. I assume.
Out west?
Yeah.
What do you mean out
I don't know, like Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona,
there's a lot of
New Mexico.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. There's a lot of spare land out there. Are you just going to get up and go one day and go cowboy out there?
I mean, you have to be invited into the fold. Again, there's levels to this, tiers. At the bottom, there's a lot of people that are pledging, if you will, that are in a trial
in the
period.
program.
Yeah, and as you move up, you get to go to better and better events. Eventually, you get to go to Milwaukee. But I believe that there's a certain upper echelon that does, in fact, get to go, and I'm quoting here, out west. They wouldn't tell me where it was other than out west.
Okay, interesting. And these are people that are on like the Horsemen's Council and...
Cowboy Council, yes.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Still a cult.
It's not a cult.
Definitely still a cult. Yikes. Track 5, Violence Fetish.
It's official, Garrett. He has a beast.
Yeah, boy, you just right out the gate, huh?
I can't wait. I can't wait anymore. We're in track 5, and we finally know that he does have a beast.
You need to release what you're feeling inside. Let out the beast that you're trying to hide. Step right up and be a part of the action. Get your game face on, because it's time to play. We have beast confirmation, Tim. And we suspected a beast. I suspected a beast. I don't know about you.
I always think there's a beast.
That's true. You jumped to beast immediately. Guy at the cash register's a little rude. Beast. Lady at the drive-thru didn't give you your ketchup. Beast.
How am I supposed to eat dry fries?
Okay, so who's he saying this to? Is he recruiting other beasts?
Perhaps he is communing with other beasts. Perhaps he has found, he walks the street looking for people with a beast like his.
Okay, interesting. Usually a beast is on a mission, though. I feel like a beast is a solo.
Well, no, not necessarily. Sometimes beasts hunt in packs. It's more rare than a solo beast. But a lot of times that's due to kind of insecurity. Like, for example, if you meet somebody and you're like, I'm pretty sure that guy has a beast, like, no one wants to be the first one to let their beast out. There has to be a code, a way to know. Maybe a handkerchief in a pocket sticking out on one side. Maybe a foot tap kind of scenario.
Tim, you don't get to control when the beast comes out. The beast merely emerges.
Oh.
And you surrender control to it. So I think that the sickness might be telling our main character to release his inner beast, perhaps, and get back to hunting those women in the forest.
Okay. Well, he again brings up people lying. He says, how do you sleep when you live with your lies?
Well, maybe this guy's lying to himself about being a beast.
Oh.
He keeps going to that prostitute, right, so he doesn't get stupefied. And the sickness is building up inside of him saying, come on, let me out. Release that inner beast. Let's get to hunting some ladies. You know how they've been slighting you. Why do you lie to yourself and say you don't need that? And he's like, no. I have my prostitute, Wendy, and that's good enough. That keeps me from getting too stupefied and, hunting people in the night. Or, challenging them to a surprise Hunger Games.
Yes.
Which I'll tell you what, you drag me out of bed at 3 a.m. and throw an axe at me and tell me I got 90 seconds to form a strategy for a surprise Hunger Games, I am at a disadvantage.
That's not true, Garrett. I have seen your plans. You have intricate maps, and I think that this was a trick. I think you're trying to trick me into doing this because you are well prepared.
I am hoping to lure you into a Mortal Kombat situation. You are correct. I have been training secretly for months.
That's fair.
I will end this.
Awesome. This song also features a Korn-like "fucked me." whisper singing. He starts off with, bring the violence, it's significant. To the life, if you've ever known anyone, bring the violence, it's significant. To the life, can you feel it?
Yeah, sounded like a little buzzsaw to me.
Yeah.
Bring the violence, it's significant.
Well, no, before he does that, he does a whispered version of it. Yeah. In the bridge, he says, tell me, what am I supposed to be? Another goddamn drone? Tell me, what am I supposed to be? Should I leave it on the inside? So clearly, he's arguing with himself about letting out the beast.
Before I looked up the lyrics, Tim, I thought he was screaming, another goddamn Jew.
I have that written down too.
It was before I knew what he was saying or that I knew that he was Jewish. And I was just like, Jesus, dude, easy. That is not cool, man.
We have had listeners try to trick us into some sort of white power music, and we're not doing an episode on that. I can't do that.
Yeah, nice try, guys. Also, we're not here to battle white supremacist groups throughout the United States. That's not why this podcast exists.
I will say, though, skinheads, natural enemy of the cowboy.
Oh, I think they're the natural enemy of most, Tim. We are enemies.
Of the cowboy?
Of anyone who's not a skinhead.
Oh, okay.
They're a very exclusive group.
Okay.
Known almost worldwide for their exclusivity. It's kind of the hallmark of their organization. Track number 6, Fear.
I don't like that.
Somebody turned on the spooky rap setting for the keyboard. That's great.
Yeah, the intro is god-awful.
I hate to say it, halfway through the album, I start to lose the thread a little bit. He starts to pepper in some real random thoughts in the middle of these things.
I think the next 3 songs are very filler.
I think you're right. Let's take a look at it, and I'm going to say some lyrics to you, and while I do, I want you to think about who's he's saying this to, because you'll feel it when I stamp it on your forehead, so you will never forget that you're a reject, and you're no one, and you're nothing. Little impotent one.
I think this is something that was said to him. I think he is quoting directly from something that a middle school bully or perhaps his father.
That makes a lot of sense. When I stamp it on your forehead sounds like a kind of a dad thing. You'll remember when I stamp it on your forehead.
Yes, it's like your father's, I'm going to put you right through the fucking wall.
Yes, and to his credit, he didn't.
Oh.
But I 100% believe that he was gonna. I thought maybe it could be something a crazy person says to a mirror.
Yeah.
But he could still very well be quoting his father.
You're too weakened by the poison that they feed you in the living lie. Trust in nothing, little impotent one. First of all, God, they're so rebellious, Garrett. They are really red-pilling this thing. I'm surprised there's no talk of sheeple. I mean, this is right after The Matrix came out, Garrett.
Well, this is pre-incest. None of this language had been appropriated for this culture.
Well, right. So I think that it's probably more actual Matrixy.
You think that he might be singing about living in a matrix?
Yeah, perhaps his beast is the only one that knows that the outside world.
I cannot throw.
Tim,
I just can't throw a matrix plot on top of the beast plot on top of the serial killer plot. For the love of God, I'm gonna need a spreadsheet. It's too much, man. There's no matrix in this. I promise. It's strictly rapes and murders all the way down. He sings "Fear Awaken." Go with it now and let it overcome you. He might be trying to get psyched up for letting this beast back out, or giving in to the sickness. Or maybe the beast is his sickness. It could be like your Jesus, God, Holy Spirit situation.
Oh, but then who's the third person? So you've got the sickness, that's clearly the Holy Spirit. You've got the beast, obviously Jesus. Who is the father?
The guy, David.
No.
The guy's got to be, I would say the guy's the Holy Spirit, because the Holy, what's he do, right?
No, all these people are living inside of him, Garrett. They're 3 in 1.
Oh.
Right? So he's got...
I was giving him credit for the third.
Oh, no. Perhaps there's a prostitute in his head.
I was going to say, and he's just jaying off in a mirror.
Okay. Jesus.
After dark. Wow.
Oh.
I didn't think we'd get one in this episode. What's strange is we get this moment of honesty in the middle of this song where he says, I don't understand why you don't like me. Why don't you like me? Am I so different from you? Now, does it scare you that I'm able to discern what to love and what to burn? I think maybe, Jim, he has kidnapped a woman.
Oh.
This sounds like a real power statement. He's starting to kind of neg this girl and stating that he is the only one smart enough to discern what is and isn't important anymore.
Maybe the beast has kidnapped this woman, and now that he is not in beast mode anymore, he's just trying to kind of calm the situation down.
Absolutely, because if we're dealing with more of a multiple personality rather than, because I'm going to be honest, Tim, I was picturing Venom. I apologize.
You always are, though. Every episode, I cut out about 90 minutes of you talking about that goddamn Venom movie. You don't even like that movie.
No, not at all. You're right, Tim, because he could visit this girl as the non-beast, right? God, we kind of got to give him a name. I feel like it's not David. I know who it is, Tim. It's the guy. Do you know about the guy?
No.
On the back cover of this album is a grinning face that is the face of the guy, the mascot for this band, which, Tim, guess what bands don't need?
Mascots?
Yeah, it was an easy one. Mascot. The guy is the one who is down with the sickness, who is compelled to chase these women, kidnap them, and take out his revenge in order to fuel his becoming.
You know, this actually makes a lot of sense given his distinct vocal styles throughout this. Maybe each one of them is singing a different part.
I 100% believe that. Track number 7, Numb. He sings more on this one. Bleeding now.
It's not good.
No.
He sings on this, "You've created a rift in me. Now there have been several complications that have left me feeling nothing." I feel like that goes fairly well with the prostitute/beast dynamic. The rift obviously being either between him and the beast or between the beast and the sickness, and there's nothing left for him, Garrett.
Okay. You've created a rift within me. Now there has been... It's a very odd use of the word complications, right?
Yes.
Sounds more like a medical euphemism to keep a patient from overreacting should they see it in their file. Patient exhibits several mental complications due to divergent personalities. Yeah, he does have several complications, and I would say there's a rift inside him. Maybe, Tim, he's having a hard time holding on to control one way or the other. Neither the beast, the Holy Spirit, or Jesus. Hey, there's a lot of people in there. Can't maintain control for any period of time, and nobody's winning in that scenario. It sounds like he might have drawn the blood of his victim, and that hasn't quite given him the strength he expected. When he says, bleeding now, crying out, falling down, and feeling nothing. What if the beast grabbed control? I'm not sure. Is the beast different from the sickness? Do we know?
We don't.
Sickness could be the mental illness that compels him to give in to the beast. We agree it's a sexual beast, right? It's still a beast.
All beasts
but there seems
sexual beasts.
Not all beasts. Some just want to watch the world burn. But this one's sexual. I think the beast took control. When the guy comes back, he says, bleeding now, I'm crying out, I'm falling down and feeling nothing. He feels nothing because he was not present for the taking of the life. He succumbed and he's numb and he's furious that the beast took control. And he wants to feel the control. It wasn't what he was expecting. Maybe he doesn't like where he goes when the beast comes out. He's trapped in some sort of upside down or underneath or behind and to the left where he doesn't have any control anymore and he doesn't get to enjoy the visceral feel of taking another person's life.
Maybe. I don't know, Garrett. This song sucks.
He says, I want this more than you know. I need this. Give it back to me. It's a powerful dynamic to gain control over this man's body and keep control, Tim.
Yeah, I found that it's often a powerful dynamic to gain control over a man's body and keep control.
I do not want you to elaborate at all. Track number 8, Want. Tim, I was so excited. I was thinking maybe track number 8, something a little more pleasant, maybe a little more upbeat, or at the bare minimum, can it not be about women or the sickness or his needs? Unfortunately, it's a big nope with the very first words of the song. She want me. All right. Good. Sounds good. And it's promising. No. She want me. No. She does not want him, Tim.
No, absolutely not. But then the beast comes out and you get the beast going rah, ah, rah, ah, over and over.
9 times. Rah, ah, rah, ah. 9.
He says, your kind is just the type that should use me, but your mind won't seem to let you have the opportunity to abuse me. Your mind won't even let you feel. First of all, what a bitch. Second of all, what?
I think the most obvious answer is that, yes, we have yet another victim. They're in the cage, and the beast is berating this poor person, saying that your mind won't even let you say that you want me. Hell, maybe the guy's back. He's got that weird sense of entitlement that thinks all women should want him for some reason. He also says your mind will let you say that you're wondering now, pondering now, hungering. He seems to really think that this I'm assuming woman, it seems to be based on some of the other tracks. This woman really wants him, but she's too stupid to know it.
What a bitch.
Could also be, Tim, the sickness is singing to the guy.
Oh,
you don't appreciate me. Your mind is getting in the way. Let me just take over and do what you know we want.
Well, that's troubling.
But if it is a woman, Tim, and assuming she's not trapped in a cage or somehow bound, and let's assume that they might have even made it onto a date, or perhaps it was not a date and explicitly stated as such, but then he brought it up like he always does somewhere around the dessert.
A real
portion.
Harvey move.
Right. He says, I feel your hunger to taste me. Still, your mind won't ever let you say. There is no way you would ever say this to anyone whom you have only ever been on a date with. In the real world, folks, you let me know. First date or somebody whom you hope to date, would you say, I can tell you want to taste me? I'm not saying that to anybody.
No, never.
It's not sexy.
I mean, it's sexy, but it's scary.
I am troubled by your response. What the fuck's wrong with you?
I don't know.
Has he taken this woman yet? He says, savor the addiction, savor the affliction, savor me.
Well, first of all, he doesn't say that. He whispers it. He goes, savor the addiction, savor the affliction, savor me.
Fucked me. Savor me.
I think savor me is worse, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Really let it linger in the back of your throat.
No.
I have great mouthfeel. He ends by asking a question she has probably answered very clearly repeatedly. He says, what do you want? And I assume she is saying to be let free and out of this basement dungeon.
Yeah.
God, I just picture him having a bunch of scenarios set up in a basement, like an SNL-style restaurant set with cold food, cold spaghetti he cooked hours before abducting her coming out of cheerleading practice.
But here's the thing. He's expecting her to be excited about the scenario. And
I made all this nice food for you. This is how you react with crying and screaming. That's why I had to bind you. Listen, when I pictured this date, you didn't have zip ties on either. But somebody decided to run, so we're improvising now. I don't know why he sounds like that. Track number 9, Conflict.
The intro electronics reminded me of like a really bad white zombie.
Absolutely. I was hoping that we would get some weird German guy to be like, welcome to the future. This is the year 2099. And all things are possible.
And my name is Tim Bortley.
Oh, yeah. Instead, we get sort of a Metallica clone with the rolling heavy drums like Gunfire. And oh my God, Tim, I couldn't hate this song more. It's my least favorite.
Yeah, I agree. It's just shouting enemy over, like, how is the song not named Enemy?
I don't know. He says, here you are, enemy. You are my hated enemy. Here I am, enemy. Number 1 rated enemy. I'm a labeled enemy. I'm your mortal. And you know what? This kind of has a fun little sing-songy thing if you change it up a little bit. Yeah. Here you are, my enemy. You are my hated enemy. Here I am, enemy number 1 rated enemy.
I love the line number 1 rated enemy. It sounds like a bad Chinese restaurant's pitch.
It really does. Oh, now, Tim, I've seen your enemy board. Is it ranked?
No, it's not. All my enemies are considered equal in my eyes.
So all slights to you are equivalent?
Yes. It's like sin, Garrett. It doesn't matter if you jaywalk or murder a bunch of nuns. It's all the same in God's eyes. You have sinned and you are going to hell.
Is that true?
It is, yes. It's not a great
Catholics
policy.
Catholics have those tiny wooden coffins where they can talk about their badness. But what do the Protestants do?
Oh, I think they just talk directly to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, that seems like a real time saver.
It does. And you don't have some sort of pervert listen to all the bad things you've done.
Yeah, in that weird glory hole with the mesh.
Okay.
What? Have you heard about what they're doing over there?
Every episode, I take out another 90 minutes of you talking about glory holes.
It's not 90.
It's at least 90.
70.
What's sad about this song, though, he's insisting that he is somebody's dangerous enemy, but I don't think the other person knows he exists. He is building this up entirely in his mind.
I think it's all the other people, Tim. He lists literally everyone.
Right. The lines in the chorus are, all the world around, enemy. They're tearing up the ground, enemy. They're drawn in by the sound, enemy, enemy. I must eliminate the enemy. All the while he's going, ah-ooh. I think he's talking about Israel. I think he's singing this from the perspective of Israel.
We are in dangerous territory here, sir.
Well, no. I'm not saying he's singing it from the official perspective of Israel. I'm saying that he's calling Roger Waters a Nazi because he's criticizing Israel's foreign policy. I think that whenever he's saying all around the world enemy, he is is interpreting this in his crazy mind as being from the perspective of Israel.
That they discern that there are several enemies to them around the world.
Yes.
Okay, that adds up.
The other thing that I like to think, though, is that it is written about a specific person who is unaware that he has slighted them, and now he is in a battle to the death with this idiot. It's like Slipknot's much-hated Doug. It's just some guy that, one time scuffed his shoe or...
Oh, I like to think it's maybe a guy, he ordered extra cheese on that slice. And he didn't give him extra cheese, but he charged him for it.
You know what? I get it. Fuck that guy. He should be your enemy, and you should spend the rest of your career writing songs about how you hate Doug.
I argue that the guy or the beast, whoever got the slighted slice, probably should have spoken up when he realized he was being charged for it. Boy, yeah. Maybe that's the birth of the beast. Usually it is a traumatic incident.
Oh, yeah, we did. We interpreted it as all that horrible things his father said to him. But no, he just...
40 cents extra for nothing. If anything, I would call it not even a normal amount of cheese. Below average cheese. Tim, did you get an enemies count in here?
53, I believe.
That is what the dossier said. 53 enemies. That's too many enemies.
Yeah. If you end all of your lines with the word enemy, that does not count as rhyming after a certain point.
Why, ever. You can't rhyme a word with itself. You cannot.
I agree.
Great. Sounded like you didn't for a second.
Track number 10, Shout 2000, a Tears for Fears cover.
This sucks.
Yeah, it does. It just sucks. It's part of a trend in the kind of late 90s to early 2000s where metal or new metal bands would cover an 80s or classic rock song. Like you've got Limp Bizkit's cover of George Michael's Faith or Behind Blue Eyes, the Godhead cover of Eleanor Rigby that's going to be featured at some point on this show. The way they change it, they manage to completely lose the melodic through line that makes the original worthwhile. Throw the good part of the song out the window. Let's rock.
When I first heard this song, I was not, I don't know why I wasn't, but I was not expecting a rap to start in the middle of the song.
I was also not expecting an Ice Ice Baby reference.
Oh man, it's so embarrassing. We get some new lyrics, Tim. He asks, "Will you never shout? I feel as though I know you're never gonna let it all out." Tim, are you ever gonna shout?
No, I'm not, but that's because I have my beast firmly in control, and yeah.
You're claiming on this show you control your beast.
I am, yes.
Do you do so with a prostitute?
No.
Oh, I have no control over my beast.
Oh, I know. Garrett, the prostitutes that come through this house, it is clear you have no control. That's not really the point, though.
Dude, not cool. I'm not having sex with whores.
Lot lizards, whatever.
No, good lord, no. You and your lot lizards. Good night.
Yeah, this song sucks.
Yep, I really don't consider it part of the album.
Track number 11, Droppin' Plates.
I'm jumping plates on your wrist. Say here I come, I'm jumping plates on your wrist.
This is also embarrassing.
This is where we go full new metal, if we hadn't already.
And it starts off with a good hoo-ah! And then it gets kind of braggy about how good their music is, and it kind of goes into this weird intro to the band.
We get the essential new metal / hip hop influence of telling you and I how great the song you've never heard that I'm singing now is gonna be when I start singing it.
Which is already started.
Now. Right, which is not now, the future now, which is now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's got something for our ear holes. That's good.
Yep.
And then Disturbed is in the house. They're dropping plates. I assume that's a reference to like a record player.
Yeah, no, they're making records. They're dropping plates. They're making records.
Okay. And we said it couldn't be done. We told him it's the kind of battle that he just couldn't win. But
there's a lot of unnamed haters.
Yes. And I mean, he showed us, Garrett. Is Freddy Krueger referenced in this song?
Oh, I didn't catch it if he was. What'd he say?
He says in verse 2, another goddamn slap in the face. Don't want to give us a place. Are you afraid? Well, fear this, because I'm breaking through the walls of your nightmare. Wake up. Time to die.
Probably not.
All right. That's why I ask.
He says plates 22 times in here. I could have sworn it was 147.
Yeah.
But they're dropping plates, y'all.
Track number 12, Meaning of Life.
Get another dancey opening before we go back to that same goddamn guitar.
In their defense, this song does live up to the title.
No, of course not. You fucking idiot. I want to know right now. He says, I want to get psycho. What does that mean? What is getting psycho for you?
Garrett, does he want to get psycho? That is the first thing I have written down for this song.
All right, let's break it down. I want to get psycho. Run, you little bitch. I want your power, glowing, juicy, flowing, red hot meaning of life. It's not enough to have a little taste. I want the whole damn thing now. It's fucking.
It's not enough to have a little taste. I want the whole damn thing now is him saying he wants to, career-wise, he wants everything that comes with being a rock star now. He doesn't want to have an album that sells a little bit. He wants to be famous, essentially. I'm hoping, because otherwise it's real creepy.
If we want to put a silver lining on this, Tim, allow me. Maybe this is some elaborate role-playing. It's some sort of Neanderthal, or if you're of a newer school, Neanderthal.
I don't like Neanderthal.
I don't either. It just sounds wrong to the ear.
It feels wrong in the mouth, I think is what you're trying to say.
It does have the wrong mouthfeel. In any event, I'll be using thal. Perhaps you are a party to some sort of Neanderthal roleplay, in which your mate or partner then runs out into the woods and then you hunt them, and then upon catching them, instead of killing them as you and I assumed and as the words explicitly state, you mate with them.
Okay.
That's not so bad, right? Two consenting parties having open sexual relations in public wooded areas. What's wrong with that?
Nothing at all.
Nothing like a hunt and a bang. Okay, so what was your whisper singing that you had a problem with, that you said could rival fucked me?
Savor the addiction. Savor the affliction. Savor me. Fucked me.
See, I would trim it. I would trim it down to savor me for sure. So we got fucked me.
Savor me.
Yeah, there it is.
Garrett,
you didn't need to do it.
Garrett.
What?
Savor me.
Yeah, I am vomiting now. God damn it. So we got fucked me. Savor me. And a new third one that bothered me the most. This bothered me more than anything else in the whole album. Give in, decide. You know, if you start with give in, decide, I feel like you don't really have a real 50-50 option.
Yeah.
You're kind of being coerced to give in.
This song might be about vampires. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No.
I can feel the blood flowing through my veins, spilling on my soul, and now the hunger's growing bigger. Come a little closer now, pretentious horror, and pull my trigger. Feel the violence that is building in me. I say now, end of the ride, murder-suicide is how I've been feeling lately. Come a little closer, my pretentious whore.
I think I know what that is.
that ring a bell with you? Something sound familiar there?
I can see how you would think that might be vampires. Classic mistake. So he's returned to his whore, Tim. He's about to get stupefied. He can feel the blood flowing through his veins. And lately he's been feeling like he just wants to kill himself and hunt down another woman and murder her to feel her power and feed his beast. So he's returned to his pretentious whore, who spurned him after he fell in love with her, and he needs her to ease the stupefaction before he turns back into a beast.
Okay.
Here's the problem, though. He says, want to hear you scream, tell me to take you, scare you, fuck you. I hope that's the prostitute, because as he's mentioned repeatedly, he has not been successful with ladies. So hopefully this is somebody who's consenting to that. Otherwise, he's hunting a woman in the woods.
Yeah.
Without consent.
The other thing to remember, though, is that all of this is nonsense. This is faux dark bullshit that he has come up with.
It's like a goth kid in a Saturn getting a Jamba Juice. It just doesn't really add up.
Right.
It's got to be a pain in the ass if you want to just get a delicious mango smoothie, but you're dressed like the fucking Cure.
I think so. That's why even as a goth kid, you have to have a familiar. Somebody that can go out and get this and bring it to you so you can drink the delicious mango in your dark room and no one has to know.
I think that's just Uber Eats. I just don't care. Do you?
Nope.
All right, Tim. This album's fucking garbage. How did it do?
Quite well. This went on to sell over 5 million copies in the US alone as of 2018. It is currently their most successful album. It peaked at number 29 on the Billboard 200 charts. No word on how it did with the Dutch, though, unfortunately. I may have to send some people over there to find out.
No, you are not sending anybody over there.
We'll see.
You don't even know where over there is.
Yeah, but they made it. They came back speaking Dutch.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
We actually had to reteach 3 of them English. It was huge.
Bizarre. I don't know where we find these people.
Most of them were recommended by Brad, so it might be part of it.
I think they're all related.
Maybe. Anyway.
Do we know Brad's last name?
No, we don't. Their next 5 albums from 2002 to 2015 would all hit number 1 on the Billboard 200.
What did people think of it?
Well, Amazon has 594 reviews. It has 4.6 out of 5 stars stars on average, 66% 5-star, 7% 1-star. So people seem to really like this. S. Brown, in 2005, his review's entitled, My Review for... The Sickness. I have to say that this is the first CD that I could really appreciate on the first listen. Other bands' albums take 2 or more listens. This album supplies pure metal with great lyrics. This is a great debut from a great band, and hope the third and future CDs are just as good. I highly recommend this album, but if you don't like cursing, stay away, as you will find the F word slammed over and over like a 12-year-old kid at Michael Jackson's slumber party. This album...
Good Lord! What?
This album kicks ass, and I know anyone would enjoy it.
Oh my God.
It really sneaks in there. That was 5 out of 5 stars, by the way.
Great review. What else you got?
Andy H. in 2000 titled his review, Do you like to drive 100 miles an hour? If so, go buy this CD and crank it. I'm a bodybuilder, and I need aggressive, heavy, crunching music to get me pumped up. From opening track to last note, this badass sick band cranks. Keeps me pumped and psyched. Go buy this CD if you like Tool, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Godsmack. It is the best CD I've bought this year. Thanks to my music bro at the gym. He gave me the tip to buy this CD. Now I pass it on to you. Peace. 5 out of 5 stars.
You know what, Tim? I have no problem with that review. It wasn't like he was like, if you like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, and Chuck Berry, you're going to love this. Like, every band he listed, right in the pocket. He just likes this kind of music, and he wants something up-tempo while he works out. I got no problem with that. That's who this is for.
Absolutely.
Any other reviews?
I've got one from Sean. I have redacted his last name, MD, PhD, and...
Excellent.
You know, I couldn't believe that this learned man was writing about this, so I did a little research on Sean, and he is from Austin. He has an MD and a PhD as a practicing physician in Austin.
Oh boy.
And he says, not as refined and definitely not a knockoff. To the person that claimed this is a ploy to sell t-shirts, you must be the type of person that would buy a t-shirt in the first place.
What?
So, no, don't know what that means.
This like someone with shoulders?
This
what does that mean? Somebody with two arms?
Garrett, stop making fun of him. He has an MD and a PhD.
I doubt it.
This is not like any other type of music out there. It's so easy to say this is a Korn or Godsmack or Biscuit, but why don't you let them be who they are? It's more techno than any other bands out there, and I don't have that angst that many other bands have, but there is almost a disco feel to some of the music, as weird as that sounds. I'm not a Biscuit fan, but I do like Korn and Godsmack, and these guys have more of a Tool feel with the angst that alternative rock is supposed to have. T-shirt boy, grow up and buy the album.
That guy should not be practicing medicine.
Or wearing t-shirts, because he lacks
I don't think he
something.
does. He's not the kind of person that buys t-shirts.
Well, no. He looks down on them, Garrett. He wears white coats only. It is not appropriate for that gynecologist's office.
Oh, just a shirtless physician. God. All right. Great reviews, Tim. Who is this for?
Meatheads in the gym.
And your OBGYN.
Yes, and also people that are still shopping at Hot Topic in 2019.
That's still a thing. It's more like a Spencer's Gifts in there. I was in there not long ago.
Why were you in there?
Why was I in there?
Why didn't you bring me with you?
I don't know. I try not to go places in public with you. You make a mess. Oh, I know exactly why I was in there. I was looking for a shirt that said Tina is my spirit animal.
She is your spirit animal.
All right, Tim. Any final thoughts? Anything we haven't said before we ask the titular question?
This is an album that tries really hard to be dark and edgy, and I think it fails. It's just kind of boring. The vocals are pretty bad, but the music is competent, if kind of boring.
Sure. It's probably very accessible for a wide swath of boys.
Young, angry boys who, hopefully by this point, have evolved past this borderline rapey bullshit.
Yeah, we all have a phase of music where we're super aggressive and very embarrassed by it, and then we move on. And we mock ourselves and read our poetry to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people.
Millions, even.
We have not hit that yet.
Oh, get those numbers up, people.
Yeah, folks, come on. Australia, what are you doing? You know what you aren't doing? Downloading the show. Canada, get those numbers up. UK, strong poll lately. Really nice work, UK.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Canada, what the fuck?
What about the Dutch? I haven't seen any of the North African numbers, Garrett.
Oh, boy. We're doing all right.
Good to know.
Yeah, so we've kind of said it all. I feel bad. Were we unfair to this album? Did we give it short shrift? I feel like we really tried to consider all of it. The music is just mediocre.
It would be a much better band if they got rid of Dave.
Yes, they are like Katy Perry, who was trying to convince us at how wild she was. This guy's trying to convince us of how goth and scary and morbid he is.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything much sadder than somebody feigning mental illness.
That is weird.
Is there a lower way to try to get attention? Even acting out with physical violence is probably superior to pretending to have a mental illness. All right, Tim, then let's ask the question. Do you hate this album?
Yeah, I got nowhere this week. I've got no use for this. What about you?
Yeah, it's really turned me off of nu metal, and I know it wasn't traditional doing nu metal albums for the show.
Oh, that's sad.
Listeners, let us know, is there something that's a little different flavor that we could do? Because this sucked. There's probably some nu metal subgenres out there that you and I haven't really gotten into yet.
Yeah, but I want to do nu metal like the Limp Bizkit album. I want to do something that's just ridiculous and kind of fun, ideally made by a virgin who's not willing to admit it to the world.
You think he's banged yet?
Probably. He's directed movies, so...
You feel like that demonstrates enough responsibility and stick-to-itiveness to maybe get laid?
I was suggesting more of a King of Hollywood scenario, but sure, your thing might work too.
God.
He's a responsible young man now, so...
I
He's
think
like
Fred Durst
60.
has a new movie coming out.
Really?
Starring John Travolta. So you know it'll be good.
They almost always are.
I think that about does it for us, Tim. As always, folks, rate, review, subscribe. I know we say it every week, but for God's sakes, we mean it. I also, if you didn't hear the prepisode with John Ashcroft, go check that out. There was a real special treat at the end of that one, and I feel like maybe folks aren't listening to the prepisode as much and they might have missed out.
Garrett is
we'll give
super
it a week
proud.
Or so. Easy.
Super proud. The proudest.
Reach out to us on Twitter at AlbumHatePod. Reach out to us on Instagram at HatePod. You can find us at hatepod.com. That has every episode we've ever done in any format you could possibly want on all of your platforms, except we're not on Pandora Premium, Tim. Did you hear about Pandora Premium?
No.
God damn it, dude. So somebody on Twitter asked the other day, and so I looked into it. You got to register and you've got to ask permission. I guess apply is the right word here. So I did. We've applied. We are applied to Pandora Premium, but not everyone who submits will be accepted. If they listen to any of this, almost certainly not getting on the platform. But for the love of God.
What don't we have?
It's more what we do have, Tim.
Oh, style?
We got style for days, but we also have a lot of accusations, some questionable music samples, and some narratives that go to some pretty dark places. I don't know if that's what the Pandora people want. I hope so. I hope so. In any event, you can find the full MP3, just download it, then you own it. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. Hell, please do things with it. Sample it, remix it, throw it into your favorite genre of music, and send it back to us. We'll play it on the show, for God's sake. You can also reach out to us by going to hatepod.com and clicking on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. It asks for an email address. We're not going to send you anything or any bullshit. We're just going to respond and thank you for writing in. Questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts about our narratives, our theories, funny stories about the songs, albums, or anecdotes we've shared on the show. We want to hear it all, folks. We have the prepisodes every other week now where we focus on a single and then we talk about music news, and then Tim and I each pick a piece of correspondence, either email, Twitter, or Instagram, sometimes a review that made us laugh especially hard, and we read it on the show. So please rate, review, subscribe, write in, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. Go to facebook.com/hatepod if Facebook's your thing. We're out there. You can hit us up there. We respond to that as well. Is there anything I haven't hit upon, Tim?
Nope.
For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.